Hello, Talk Tuners. Welcome to all of you to episode 11 of Stephanie and Stephanie Talk Tunes.
Hey, Talk Tuners, it's Stephanie Pena here. I hope you guys are doing well on this summer day.
I'm Stephanie Myers, and we are happy to have you guys here. I know we have some new folks here, might be just discovering us. We just want to say we're glad you're here. We're here to talk about our favorite tunes. We're here to talk about our favorite stories. And thanks for sticking around.
Absolutely. Thank you, old comers, newcomers, everyone in between. This is awesome. Well, hey guys, in episode 10, mentioned that I was going to LA, which is a rarity for Stephanie and I to be in the same room, but we had to be together so we could celebrate our new family with Pantheon joining that podcast network. We're so excited. So many great podcasts in that network. I mean, if you're a Weezer fan, which I know I am, been listening to Weezer since the 7th grade. Yes, I just said that, the 7th grade. Yes, and I even went to the fan club and got the Blue album notes, like all of the songs. Did you get that, Stephanie, back in the day? Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I just love the Pantheon Podcast Network, man. Like these podcasts are dope as shit.
They're great.
So yeah, definitely check it out, and we're happy about that. So it was great seeing you, Stephanie. LA was always a good time. And of course, the beautiful weather. Then I come back to San Antonio, and I'm like, but I love San Antonio, but I just don't like the weather. Okay,
Fair.
It is what it is. I love my home city. I do.
Fair enough.
San Antonio. Pero it's hot as fuck right now. So,
Fair enough.
It was so
Fair
good
enough.
to see you, though. We had a good time.
It was awesome to see you. I wonder if people all know that we very typically, and this is our norm, record from separate cities. I'm here in LA.
Yes.
Stephanie Pena is out in San Antonio. So even to be able to share the same space for a few days was really awesome. And as you can imagine, in times like this, rarity, which I imagine is the case for probably a lot of listeners too.
Yeah, exactly. That was actually my first trip since the pandemic. And thank God for vaccinations. And, I've been hanging low since I got back. I had a good time.
Get vaccinated, guys.
For sure. All right. So lately in the news, there has been some buzz from the Nirvana baby. Nirvana baby Spencer Eldon filed a lawsuit on the surviving members of Nirvana and Courtney Love, and I think also some folks from the record company from Geffen. Because he never got his royalties for being the naked baby on the cover of Nevermind, 1991's Nevermind. For those folks that did not hear about this, I'm surprised, because as Nirvana is Nirvana, everybody knows who Nirvana is, even my parents. So the kid on the album cover, Spencer Eldon, supposedly did not get any royalties for being the face of that album. And I'll let Stephanie talk a little bit more about this, because you have some interesting stuff.
Yeah, so it's an interesting case. Of course, he's a child, and as a baby ended up getting photographed for that cover. It was Kurt Cobain's idea and concept, and they photographed about 50 babies, and he chose Spencer. It's an interesting story, and by the time this comes out, I think most folks will have heard about this. We were doing some digging and just hearing there's so much involved in this lawsuit too.
Yeah.
Spencer had talked a little bit about he felt like that picture actually opened the gate for some abuse that came his way later. And crazy. I don't have particular insight into what might happen. He kind of alluded to it in interviews and said, this visibility on the album cover made me visible to predators and other folks. And I think there's obviously also some deeper trauma that he had gone through, connected to other things. So hoping that works out for everybody, but certainly a story that, falls under the odd news categories that you hear up in the headlines. So
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I did my own digging and just hearing about it. I mean, obviously, you and I have no relation to Spencer Eldon or Nirvana whatsoever. The story is the story, but the things that we read about it, right? So, like, I read in the Times that, and I'd seen some pictures of him in swim trunks reenacting the album cover, and he did it willingly for the 10th, 17th, 20th, and 25th anniversaries. But he was not naked again, swim trunks. And then things got kind of funky supposedly recently because Spencer Eldon is an artist and he invited Nirvana to his show and he got butthurt because they didn't want to participate. And he's quoted by saying that, just a few months ago, he was reaching out to Nirvana and why am I still undercover if I'm not that big of a deal? So he was just kind of basically just butthurt. That's what I mean, that's what I hear. But regardless, either way, Steph, that bit of info is interesting to see how this plays out. In other news, Stephanie, you just saw David Grohl. This is like our Nirvana, themed chit chat opening.
I did. I finally got to see the rescheduled Foo Fighters show. It was scheduled for a little over a month ago. Finally got to see them this week because we record beforehand. You'll hear this a little bit later. But it was amazing. Dave Grohl is just, they're just so good. Foo Fighters are just put on such an incredible show in every sense of the word. It was exactly what I was hoping to do. This was an all-vaxxed show at the Foo Fighters' insistence, and then because of LA regulations, it was also an all-masked show. So as far as ways to mitigate spread, felt pretty good about that. It was a really good time. There was on a side note, the forum made me throw away my purse because they thought that it didn't meet the dimensional regulations, which it did. I measured it beforehand. Thankfully, it did have people from their team reached out to me after I let them know what happened that night. That's neither here nor there. More to come. Didn't let it take away from the glory of the rest of the night, however, which was wonderful.
Yeah, that's annoying, especially, dude, I totally get the regulation since 9/11, we're trying to protect ourselves, totally get it. It just sucks being a lady. Sometimes you need that purse, or even a man, it's, whatever, you're going to need to carry something sometimes. And I've been in a similar situation. So back in 2002, Tool was playing the Frank Erwin Center in Austin. And at the time I was working for 101X. And I had to go to I was a remote coordinator, so I did little mini events, give away free t-shirts and all that shit. And I had to go to work immediately afterwards. And I roll in with the purse, and I was told the same thing. I had to, throw it out, or I couldn't bring it in. So I was like, man. So I ran all the way back to my car, throw the purse away. Put my purse up, running back to the venue because I knew that Tool was going to go on within like maybe 10, 15 minutes. So I'm booking it. I'm running real fast, and I'm wearing sandals, girl. And in the middle of MLK, one of my sandal straps busted. I'm like, holy shit. So I take the damn shoe off, and I'm running one shoe across MLK, get back to the fucking theater, the stadium. I'm running upstairs, whatever. Shoeless Stephanie. You see a fucking trend? Remember Rage Against the Machine stuff? Like, what the fuck? What is wrong with me and shows and shoes? Does anybody else have this problem? Fuck. I just remember getting to my seat and being like, shit, man, I got this black foot, probably a little bloody. Lord knows, all the dirt and shit that's been on it. Oh, craziness. Anyway, well, I'm glad that you didn't let that incident ruin your time at the show. I heard and I saw that Nandi Bushell played with the band with Dave for Everlong, right?
Yeah. So folks who might not know, listener-wise, she's the 11-year-old drum prodigy, and she had challenged Dave Grohl last year, kind of middle of the pandemic, to drum battle on Twitter. And he talked about, during the concert, he was like, yeah, and I kept responding. They're like, hey, you got a rival here. And he brought her out to play Everlong. And she was, it was a very emotional thing to witness. And she's incredible. She's a drum prodigy. It was amazing to witness. You're thinking like, oh, she's 11. Should they give her like an easy song? Nope. Like she's out there doing Everlong. And it was, I mean, the audience it was electrifying to see that. So what a special treat to
That's
see
so
that.
cool.
How cool that they brought her on.
Yes, girl, that's awesome. And you think about Everlong, the song, and just the music, right? Mm-hmm. The music itself. That's not an easy song to play.
It's not an easy song.
And wow. So check out the video for sure of her performance. She's a little badass. Can't wait to see which first band she joins or she creates.
Right? Exactly. Right? Yep.
Get it, girl. So good. So good.
So
all right.
Hopefully we'll see her soon. So yeah, as listeners may know, we are here today to talk about our memories and stories around a particular song. Our tagline, of course, songs you want to forget but love to remember. And that song for you today is Mission of Burma's That's When I Reach for My Revolver. So wondering if folks know this song. We've done some pretty top 40 songs lately too. And this one, it's like, you know it or you don't, but we're here to tell you some things about the song itself and then tell you some memories related to the song. It's got an interesting little backdrop to it. To this one, just so you kind of like know about the history of Mission of Burma, it's a guitarist singer Roger Miller, bassist singer Clint Conley, and drummer singer Peter Prescott. And they had kind of a unofficial member, Martin Swope. He did tape loops, became like kind of a huge part of their music, became part of their own wall of sound, this layered, very distinctive sound
Absolutely.
that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Just
distinct.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome parts of this post-punk scene. They were critical darlings. They'd started the band in 1979 and actually broke up for the first time in 1983. So it's like they weren't together that long. But while they were disbanded, like their star just grew and grew, and kind of their own legend grew and grew. They had reunited officially in 2002, and during the time, 1983 to 2002, when they were gone, that fan base kept growing. Rykodisc kept them in print, and they were featured prominently in the classic book "Our Band Could Be Your Life."
That's cool. All right, I didn't know that. Our Band Could Be Your Life. So is that like
it's a great book? Yeah.
So it's just about different bands and their histories?
It's an oral history. Highly recommend checking it out. It's
nice.
Yeah, it runs through a number of bands, but it's absolutely classic book, must for any rock fan. Definitely check it out. It's fantastic. Cool. And then That's When I Reach for My Revolver was from their album Signals, Calls, and Marches in 1981. That was written by Clint Conley, actually. And featuring on that one, it's Clint on vocals instead of Roger, who did a lot of their other vocals work. But this one is Clint. And if you read within Our Band Could Be Your Life, Clint got the phrase of the title of that song from a Henry Miller essay, the writer Henry Miller, originally. But he didn't know that it was supposedly first uttered by the Nazi Hermann Göring.
Crazy.
So, and he didn't know, right? Because it was in the context of this Henry Miller essay, and he liked the turn of phrase. And so he had said in the book, Our Band Could Be Your Life, he had was asked about it, and he said, I wasn't too happy to hear about that connection because I didn't want to be linked to that sort of thing. But it was a phrase. Yeah, right? 101. And he says, but it was a phrase that had power. I had this riff. To me, that's kind of the alchemy of writing songs. So he kind of figured it out later on. Is like, this traces back to this person. And there's some irony in course of all of this. In fact, they're a pretty progressive band with this heavy and hearty sense of irony. So the fact that they were connected with this was kind of just this surprise and this very strange thing that ended up happening. So
yeah. Awesome. So yeah, craziness. Glad that he's not part of that shitty Nazi cause. So anyway, I did my own research on this as well, and so good old Wikipedia actually gave the translation of the song, and basically, I mean, it's not the song of when I reached for my revolver because it was originally in German. Okay, guy's a
Yep.
Nazi, whatever, it's German. And in the English translation is, whenever I hear the word culture, I remove the safety from my Browning. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Anyway, okay, we're not gonna harp on that, but it's a really cool song, and obviously there's no connection to Nazi ties, so let's keep going because it's a badass song. Mission of Burma is a great fucking band. So good, in fact, this song was actually redone by Catherine Wheel. If any of those 90s hardcore, alternative rock folks remember Catherine Wheel, D stuff, I know. Oh,
yeah. Great band, and feels like don't get mentioned as often, maybe as they should.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They are a fantastic band. They kind of had their own little cult following. Well, they did a remake of this song in 92. And also Moby. We all know who Moby is, so we'll go kick it to top 40, right? This may be a band again that nobody really knows about, but that's cool, man. It's about learning about new music and new stuff. Well, the song was so cool that Moby redid it in 96. And it was the first single from his fourth studio album, Animal Rights. But check it out. The song is dark, no doubt. So Moby is a top 40 artist. So Moby is trying to get paid. So what did he do? He needs it on MTV. He changed the lyrics. Totally get it. I get it. For the video. Makes sense. And on MTV, you'll find this song as That's When I Realize It's Over. Still fucking dark, but you know what? Hey, it doesn't really... it's a different
thing. Yeah, right? It's a little bit of a different thing. And it's funny, too, because, you're right. MTV, to my knowledge, when I looked at that a little bit, it was like they'd asked him, it's like, can you modify this to get this airplay? Because they're like, well, like to not have the connotations, even though it's like the song itself is not a violent song, but obviously title-wise, they didn't want to be held probably responsible for anything. So It's just kind of funny, right?
It is. I think Tipper Gore probably has something to do with that. Anyway.
Tipper Gore and the PMRC. Tipper Gore and the PMRC.
Oh, the history of rock and roll. Anyway.
Yeah. Totally.
So we got the opportunity to see them in 2008, and I'll let Stephanie paint this picture. It was a really good show.
Yeah, so we got the opportunity to see the reunited Mission of Burma. So they were, at this point, had reunited for a couple of years. And it was 2008. And we said, we got to go see these guys. So they were playing at one of the, to my mind and for my money, one of the best show venues in Brooklyn, which is the Music Hall of Williamsburg.
Yeah, because it's spacious.
Yeah, love that venue. Love the setup. Have seen many, many shows there. So cool. So we knew it was going to be a really good show. So both of us were big fans. I kind of constantly remember us both singing. That's when I reached for my revolver, like just all the time for no reason, like to each other, walking down the street.
Not inciting violence, guys. I mean, no, we're not angry New Yorkers. No, we're not. It's just a good song. So I feel like I really have to keep pressing this subject here. It's not. It's a dark song, but it's not like.
I appreciate that you're clarifying this for our listeners.
It's
they understand. And if you listen to the song, it's like you get its fullness. But it's funny because we love the song. It was really just their star had risen, just for folks to understand, to where like Mission of Burma was actually on like every Brooklyn bar jukebox.
It was like during 2008. These old artists, post-punk, punk, the ones like the underground artists that you would not hear in the top 40. And we're not talking about Ramones. Those folks got the spotlight.
Yeah.
And Mission of Burma was always on. It was good shit. It was just fun. I mean, I added so much to my music catalog living in New York during that time. Good shit.
Totally.
Such good shit.
Totally. Yeah. And I feel like they were prominent. They were almost this, in Brooklyn, a household name again, but everybody knew them. So it was really exciting when they were coming to Music Hall, which is called kind of this indie darling who in, certain pockets, their star never really waned. Like they were always really big. So we go to see them. It's the way it's set up, it's like pretty much all a GA show. Yeah. It's all general admission. and we're probably maybe one song in to the set, and then we realize like earplugs we've brought are just going to be no match for this show at all. We've seen hundreds of shows, probably individually and collectively together. Like,
Yes.
I mean, we're not we're not novices to this space. But in the words of my favorite movie, Spinal Tap, this really went to 11 on every scale. And I can say this because I reflect on it sometimes, I've never been to such a loud show before or since. And I have just really distinct memories of, you know, we're trying to talk to each other. We're kind of like looking over each other, but not able to
What
hear.
did you say?
Yeah.
It was bad.
We were doing like pantomime, couldn't hear each other the whole time. And then, of course, you know how that's like for afterwards, not being able to hear anything on the street afterwards either, because the show was in our ears. So
it was horrible.
I had at that point adjusted my concert behavior to make sure that I was always wearing earplugs. I didn't used to always do that.
Yes. Yeah, that's something you learn.
Yeah. Once I got to this juncture, I had done that. But I always think back and I was like, that show is one of the reasons that caused me to call it like concert loss, of like a little bit more hearing that night that I don't think ever came back.
Oh, no, I absolutely believe that shit. 100%.
It was absolutely insane. And for this space, right, that's, of course, an indoor space.
Yep.
It's ironically got great acoustics, but that doesn't matter when you're taking their wall of sound like there are.
Yeah, it's no match. They need to play outside, man. So yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Their show is fucking badass, but there was no earplug that could have helped. And honestly, Stephanie, I don't think I had any. I think I forgot mine, so I was putting napkins in my fucking ears because that's what I do. I mean, you are definitely a lot better about taking care of your hearing, and I'm on point now. And even working in like past concerts, I mean, I'm fucking deaf. It's not cool, you know? I have to listen to the TV super loud. Jeff's like, you know, I'm always like, what? Huh? I can't hear for shit, man. And, you know, shows like Mission to Burma is so good, so worth it, glad. But, I mean, I kind of wanted to leave early just because they were fucking up with my hearing so much. We stuck it out because they're really great. They're great artists. But, man, I felt that shit for a while. And just thinking about like loud shows in general too, in just New York. I saw Ministry there in like 2006 at BB King's. That was a small, intimate venue. And oh my gosh, but I was right by the speaker. And with
for
no
Ministry,
fucking earplug for Ministry, with no earplugs. And so guess who had to go to the doctor the next day with an earache? This bitch. Oh my God. Fucking crazy. And then again, working in an industry, you know, doing, you know, actually working in concerts and shit. I've gotten a lot better. Mission to Burma definitely put a layer, but it was so worth it.
Right?
It was so worth it. So worth it.
It's crazy how it doesn't take like a long or exposed period to affect your hearing.
Yeah.
Learned that having seen so many of these shows, but I know, I know we both have these after effects that just seem like they go on forever, and it's so bad.
Music is life.
You know, I'll never forget the loudest show. And then I guess it was a few years after this, and a friend invited me to see Mission to Burma. They were doing a waterfront show in Williamsburg.
Oh, cool.
So there was these great waterfront shows that were happening around then. And I remember I almost hesitated to even go because I remember my hearing was never the same.
Oh, no, of course, you're scarred.
Show.
Yeah, totally
after
scarred.
that show in Music Hall in Williamsburg. And then I realized, like, okay, they're outside this time. So I think this is a different scenario. This feels safer. So I ended up going to that one. And of course, it was a great show, and they just blasted, you know, the whole borough.
Yeah, they could hear that shit down to fucking Bay Ridge, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they were like, whatever, we're doing it. So that was pretty hilarious. And then what I had learned that kind of just ties all of this together as well. So it was in 1983, and it was after Mission Burma released their album Verses, and they ended up disbanding for the first time. And it was because of Roger Miller's tinnitus, which, yeah. And so they were very open about the fact that he got this because of their notoriously loud live concerts. They were straight up about it. They're like, look, guys, this is why we have to stop. And so in these subsequent tours they ended up doing, though, Roger had started switching his kind of standard small foam earplugs to their rifle range earphones on stage. And that kind of became his signature.
Oh, like the headset, right? That's what you mean?
It's like a full, rifle range headphones. Yeah. If you look up, even old clips on YouTube, he's wearing those because he realized was like, oh man, maybe it's like a tragedy when your own sword takes you down. But they realized, they're like, it's our shows that did this to us.
No, I mean, of course, it kind of reminds me of like Sound of Metal, man. Have you seen that movie? That's wild.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Sound of Metal, about the drummer who's a metal musician, and his earring goes out and he has to get a surgery to get it back. Anyway, that's another side note. But man, I mean, I don't know. I mean, as far as when I first started getting into live music, I just never thought about damage it could do, right? That's crazy. That's so crazy. It's so ironic that's why they split. Wow. Yeah. Anyway.
Right?
Wow. Poor Raji.
So really tied it all together for us, figuring that out, and of course feeling badly for him, although he kind of figured out what was happening to his ears. So
did it to himself.
Be like, oh, be like, what's happening? So again, just kind of an amazing little full circle story. And then also, you guys might think, oh man, this name, Roger Miller, like this sounds so familiar, right? This is, of course, we're talking about Punk's Roger Miller. We're talking about a distinct Roger Miller, not to be confused with country star Roger Miller. Old school. Separate worlds, old school country star Roger Miller, of whom I'm actually a big fan. I actually love his stuff too. Yeah, he's great. And for those who might not know, he wrote King of the Road, Dang Me, Chug-a-Lug in the summertime. And then they brought him on for Disney's Robin Hood soundtrack. He did that one as well.
Really? What? I didn't know that.
Like, if you remember, Not in Nottingham, it's called, on the Robin Hood soundtrack. Like, all that was him, and he's vocals for all those.
Well, I don't do Disney, you know that, but
that's fair.
I just didn't know he was involved. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So he was a Renaissance man. He did a lot. Just a little factoid for those who might say, "Oh, I'd like to get to know somebody else." Well, he was great, and so he did kind of this old school country. It was kind of blended Americana style, and you've probably heard him on the radio. You've probably heard him in ads. His music placed in ads. And for those who might want to learn more, in addition to checking out his music, for this Roger Miller, I'd highly recommend the biography Ain't Got No Cigarettes. And it's a account of his life. He just had a really colorful life and some crazy stories in there. So that's an aside that I would recommend for folks who maybe want to get to Mission of Burma and maybe want to get into country's Roger Miller after listening to this episode.
Yeah, man, Roger Square, dude. Ain't Got No Cigarettes. I haven't heard that one. I'm gonna have to listen to it. So, yay, I learned something from you today, Stephanie. This is wonderful. And on that note of folks with like similar names, I need to make a correction. So in episode 10, I was talking about the Cecil Hotel and its affiliation with murder. And in particular, Richard Ramirez. So he is a serial killer that would go and hang out at the Cecil after his killing sprees. Now, I am dumb, and I said Robert Rodriguez in the episode. Robert Rodriguez is a fellow San Antonian, and he is a UT alum, just like myself, but he's a fucking Hollywood badass. He directs badass movies like El Mariachi. We all love Spy Kids. He's teamed up with Quentin Tarantino. He's the shit. And I apologize because those are two totally separate people and I'm embarrassed. But anywho, Robert, I'm sorry. I just had to say that, Stephanie. Oh my gosh.
I think that's great. And I'm sure
he's the first, he does the RR. It's just R squared.
Oh, totally. And we were covering a lot of ground in that episode
we
too.
We were.
So the fact that you even remembered it later, be like, oh man, what did I just slip of the tongue happen to say? Not that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Different.
So I mean, you're a Longhorn too. You love Robert Rodriguez just as much as I do, man. And you didn't catch it. So anyway, I might just called myself out, but I don't give a shit. I needed to correct that because that's going to go with me to my grave.
Fair.
And yeah, I had to correct that.
Yeah, so go back and listen to that episode, guys, because it's a great one. Episode 10, Hotel California. We get into a lot of fun facts. That's what you can, if you want to go back in the catalog, you can go to that one next if you'd like.
Yeah, for sure.
So we really covered a lot of ground in this episode, too. Kind of ran the gamut, and I felt like shared our own stories in addition to sort of this crazy, crazy history. Really appreciating new folks listening to us. Appreciate those who have also stuck with us since the beginning and give us feedback and what they really like and what they're really enjoying. That's super helpful. We love to hear from you. You can email us at stephaniestalktunes@gmail.com anytime, of course. You can also follow us on our social platforms. Reach out to us there. We are Stephanie's Talk Tunes on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And then we're Stephanie's Talk on Twitter because they make us truncate the length of the handle.
Of course we're difficult. Of course.
And I want to also just say thanks for those who've reviewed the podcast on Apple Podcasts. It so helps, and it's so nice of folks to do that. So just want to give gratitude for that. If you want to feel inclined to drop a review, that would be wonderful, and we appreciate that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for those that came out. I'm looking forward to episode 12, but I gotta go. Bye.
Peace out, guys. Get vaccinated. Love you.